Alright, this is the fourth part in this video series or whatever. I got all the bulkheads put on with the pipes connected to them. Let me walk in here. I'm gonna walk in here and show you what I did. Alright, so I put them all together, and basically you just screw the pipe that's got the two bulkheads. You basically just stick them in the hole, put the nut on, and turn it, screw it down. One thing about putting those nuts on, if it doesn't feel like it's going on right, it's probably cross-threaded. So what I do is just hold the nut against the screws and turn it backwards and then forwards, and then usually it'll get on track. And then it should just screw on to where it kind of like you can just spin it, and it shouldn't be that tough to get on there. If it's too tight, something don't seem right, it's probably cross-threaded. So make sure when you put the nuts on, don't try to force them, because they should just screw right up onto it. So yeah, and I'm going to show you right here is this is for the epi bucket. That's the 6 3/4 piece, and I left one off intentionally. So screw the nut off. You're going to put the rubber gasket on this part after you take the nut off. You put the rubber on that part. So, and then there's the rubber gasket. You stick that on there. And there's one thing you have to do that's kind of important when you put these on, is you have to make sure that that rubber gasket is completely flat, meaning that it like goes all the way down. So it's not sticking up. So you want to make sure you get it down all the way around, because if it's sticking up a little bit, it'll get hung, and the bucket, it won't tighten down in the bucket right, and you might get a leak. So yeah, that's it. Put the rubber gasket on there, and then stick it in the hole just like this. And then you're just going to put the nut on this side. There's no gasket inside the bucket, none. Okay, see that? It just goes right on there. So let me see if I can put this on here. You just tighten it down. Tighten it down just like that. See, the gasket's out here. That's what seals them. That gasket that goes around this flange. So what I do is take those right there, and I'm gonna set the phone down for a minute. You take them channel locks just like that, put it around the nut, and then you just turn it to tighten it. You don't want to tighten it too tight, but just tighten it enough to where you don't think it's gonna leak. I've put these together before and have one maybe dripping a little bit, and you just go and tighten the nut. Usually when I take them apart and put them back together, I'll have one that I didn't tighten up enough, and just tighten it a couple turns, it'll stop leaking. So yeah, just make sure you tighten them up enough. These channel locks, man, you really gotta have them. You can't, it's hard to do it without it. I don't think hand tightening is enough. And you can try to hand tighten them, but you can probably try to hand tighten them, but it probably ain't gonna be tight enough. So that's it right there, man. That thing is sealed and it won't leak. So that's the epi bucket. Now I'm gonna grab these. We're gonna go ahead and glue the epi bucket on now, and then I'm gonna make it fifth part on doing the other end. So that's it there. You got that one and that one. All right. So coming out of the bucket, 8-inch, that's the 8-inch pipe that went into the bulkhead on both sides. And then 6 3/4 coming out of the epi bucket. Both of those have bulkheads on them. Those two 90 degrees is what connects those two together. And then down here on the other end, I use a 4-inch pipe, and that's going to make that's the end of the line right there. That's the line that where your pump line is going to get hooked to, and that's going to go to your water chiller. So basically, all these are going straight through, all the way down, and I'll go ahead and glue them on now. Best way to do this, I think, is to keep it flat on the ground. I've already primed the inside of this pipe, so just put the glue in there, and then kind of like get them both lined up after you get the glue on, just like this. If you cut the holes in the buckets right, everything will line up perfect. If you fucked up and didn't if you didn't center the holes right like they're supposed to be, then you're gonna have issues. So that's why. And some people think you can go by that little picture right there. That's crock shit. That picture is never centered with the bucket, because you can see how the hole, that hole right there where the handle is the middle of the bucket, and you can see that picture is a little bit to the right. So some people try to use that picture as a reference, but I'm telling you, it ain't gonna work. So you got to do the way that I said, and you'll get the center of the bucket every time. You'll have everything will be all the same height. All the holes will be cut exactly the same. So I'm gonna go ahead and glue this on real quick, then I'll do the other side. And make sure that, because that 90 is gonna dry really fast. So you basically want to wet both. You want to put glue in both ends like that, and then just kind of set it on there. But don't push it in yet, because you want to make sure you get them lined up, and then push them both in. Push them both in at the same time, just like that. So you don't got no weird shit going on. It'll sit perfect just like that every time. So I'm gonna go ahead and do the other side. Now I've already built this system before. That's how I know the size of these measurements. And like I was saying before, if you want to make it wider, then this is the pipe right here coming out of the epi bucket that you want to make longer if you want to make wider. If you want to make the buckets come in, then you just make this pipe right here shorter. But you can see that the epi bucket sits far enough back so that you can get to it when you want to check your pH and all that other stuff. So this is why I like it. The other company, they put a T right there coming off the front of the epi bucket. I think that shit's retarded. There's one reason you got to bring your epi bucket way back, which takes up too much space. So I like doing it like this because I get an even flow on both sides, because gravity, the water that's going to be coming in through the top, it's going to basically force water out both sides at the same rate, instead of going to a T and then trying to come out of the T. Because if one side of the system's a little bit lower than the other, like if your floor ain't completely level, then what I did was I filled it up with like 3 inches or 4 inches of water in there, and I checked the flow, and I did notice that one side was flowed a little bit more than the other side, and that's how I knew that I didn't want to use the T anymore. So I started doing them like this, and I really like it doing it like this. So I just bring the pipe straight out of that epi bucket and then come around, and it goes around the corner like that, so it's perfect. So, all right, I'll go ahead and glue this other side on now. That's it. That's all you got to do right there. They're put together. So your epi bucket is glued to those buckets, and everything. And the bulkhead takes over from there, and it goes straight down. So this is a 12 bucket system. And like I said, if you wanted to shorten this and make a 6 bucket, you could do that too. Which isn't that it's not that difficult. So yeah. So that's it on that.